One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's up, everybody, on a Wednesday afternoon here, waiting for Netanyahu to make his address to Congress. As many of you know, there's like 40, 50 people in Congress who are not going to be present for the speech. Cowards, absolute cowards, absolute reprobates. I mean, I am sick of the way these people are treating Israel, but it's to be expected. When you've got a president like Dementia Joe, and you've got a nutcase for vice president like Kamala Harris, and you've got the squad out there, and you've watched what's happened in Dearborn, Michigan, it's to be expected. They can't have their basically Marxist or communist takeover of America and still be aligned with Israel. Luckily, there are still an overwhelming amount of congressional people, representatives, who understand the importance of Israel and its standing in the Middle East and its relationship with America. Those of you guys may know, because Biden decided he was going to just basically take off and not meet with him, and then Kamala's not meeting with him either. But luckily, the next president will be meeting with him. Down here in South Florida at Mar-a-Lago, Trump and Netanyahu will be meeting. I believe they're going to do it on Friday. Haven't seen the time. Don't know if they're going to make a public appearance or just going to have dinner or whatever. But I know Trump's got a rally tonight. By the way, 6 p.m. Make sure you're here. He's got a rally tonight. He's also got a rally on Saturday. So the schedule lines up perfectly for him to basically have the meeting with Netanyahu down here in South Florida, which I'm sure it will be covered to some extent, but it's probably going to be private. And I love the fact that Trump stepped up and said, let's talk. Let's figure this out. As well as the Palestinian leader reached out to Trump and said, let's talk. So he's not even in office yet, and he's doing more than Kamala and Dementia Joe. Of course, the media doesn't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about Trump basically bringing world leaders together and orchestrating peace, because peace is kryptonite to the Democrats. They want war. They want war to continue. They can't prosper if war isn't going on. And so they don't want, Palestine and Israel to work something out for a ceasefire and to get this thing over with. They don't want that. They want it to keep going. They want the stuff over between Putin and Zelensky to keep going. That's who they are. They want to take America down a continuing path of war, war, and war. And we don't need that. Remember, during the time of Trump, there were no wars. As much as they try to fact check it, what he had done is basically bring peace to most of the world. Yeah, there were some warring factions in Somalia. We're not involved in that. We're talking about war, not a conflict with some warlords in these areas that are basically ungovernable. We're talking about major military conflict between countries and ideologies. So they're about to introduce Netanyahu. Let me see if where they are with it right now. Maybe I can take a few comments while we're waiting. What's going on, SV? Is this thing working today? Boom. I pray that there are enough intelligent people in our country to make sure the Democrats fail. I think there are. There's no way for me to prove it. If you saw my show last night, I told you what the Democrats were going to try and do, that they were going to try their best to say that Kamala was leading in the polls. And as soon as I got off the broadcast, sure enough, I saw a poll showing Kamala is up by like 10 points. Today they came back down to earth. They're realizing they're in trouble. They may have made a huge mistake. Well, actually, Dementia Joe was a mistake, but this may have been a bigger mistake. They've left fraudulently. They forfeited. Lake County, Florida is Trump County. Know the area very well. Harris, she just got into her campaign, and the first major decision she made was to not meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. That's pretty stupid, in my estimation. I don't know who she's garnering for. And I watched her rally, and I'm thinking to myself, did you notice something that was missing? What was missing at her rally were black people. So I've got a video that's coming out after this and before. What a day today. So we got this at 2 o'clock. Netanyahu is making his way to the stage. At 6 o'clock, we have the Trump rally. And then 7:30, 8 o'clock, depending on when Trump gets done talking, we're going to go ahead and cover what may be Biden's resignation speech. So we got three live broadcasts today. Unbelievable. Let me just cut to the split screen so you can see him coming on. Everybody's clapping for him. He's up at the podium. So let's immediately jump in and listen to what he said. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if the volume is. I guess you won't know the volume until he starts talking, until I shut up. All right, so let me know how the volume is once he starts talking. For those not there, they're missing a speech. But it seems like everybody else is giving him a warm greeting. Let's just hope the Secret Service have this place protected from the nuts. Wow, what a warm welcome. Absolutely love it. Put it right in the face of those people who chose not to go. He's getting an extremely warm welcome. That's America. You may not agree with him, but you gotta respect it.
Members of Congress, I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel.
Let me know in the volume when he starts talking.
Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Senator Ben Cardin, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, Senators, members of Congress, distinguished guests. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me the profound honor of addressing this great citadel of democracy for the fourth time. We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends. This is not a clash of civilizations. It's a clash between barbarism and civilization. It's a clash between those who glorify death and those who sanctify life. For the forces of civilization to triumph, America and Israel must stand together. Because when we stand together, something very simple happens. We win, they lose. And my friends, I came to assure you today of one thing: we will win. Ladies and gentlemen, like December 7th, 1941, and September 11th, 2001, October 7th is a day that will forever live in infamy. It was the Jewish holiday of Simchat Torah. It began as a perfect day, not a cloud in the sky. Thousands of young Israelis were celebrating at an outdoor music festival. And suddenly, at 6:29 a.m., as children were still sleeping soundly in their beds in the towns and kibbutzim next to Gaza, suddenly heaven turned into hell. 3,000 Hamas terrorists stormed into Israel. They butchered 1,200 people from 41 countries, including 39 Americans. Proportionately, compared to our population size, that's like 20 9/11s in one day. And these monsters, they raped women, they beheaded men, they burnt babies alive, they killed parents in front of their children, and children in front of their parents. They dragged 255 people, both living and dead, into the dark dungeons of Gaza. Israel has already brought home 135 of these hostages, including 7 who were freed in daring rescue operations. One of those freed hostages, Noor Gamani, is here in the gallery, sitting near my wife, Sarah. On the morning On the morning of October 7th, the entire world saw Noah's look of desperation as she was violently abducted to Gaza on the back of a motorcycle. I met Noah's mother, Leora, a few months ago. She was dying of cancer. She said to me, "Prime Minister, I have one final wish. I wish to hug my daughter Noah one last time before I die." 2 months ago, I authorized a breathtaking commando rescue operation. Our special forces, including a heroic officer named Arnon Zmora, who fell in this battle, rescued Noah and 3 other hostages. Noah, I think it's one of the most moving things. When Noah was reunited with her mother, Leora, and her mother's last wish came true. Noah, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. Thank you. Many hostage families are also here with us today, including Eliyahu Bibas. Eliyahu Bibas is the grandfather of those 2 beautiful red-headed boys, the Bibas boys, toddlers. And they were taken hostage with their mother and and Eliyahu's son. The entire family was taken hostage. 2 beautiful red-haired children taken hostage. What monsters. And with us also is Iris Chaim, whose son Yotam bravely escaped Hamas captivity with 2 other Israelis, and tragically they were killed making their way back to our lines. We have with us also the families of American hostages. They're here. The pain these families have endured is beyond words. I met with them again yesterday, and I promised them this: I will not rest until all their loved ones are home, all of them. As we speak, we're actively engaged in intensive efforts to secure their release, and I'm confident that these efforts can succeed. Some of them are taking place right now. I want to thank President Biden for his tireless efforts on behalf of the hostages and for his efforts to the hostage families as well. I thank President Biden for his heartfelt support for Israel after the savage attack on October 7th. He rightly called Hamas sheer evil. He dispatched 2 aircraft carriers to the Middle East to deter a wider war. And he came to Israel to stand with us during our darkest hour, a visit that will never be forgotten. President Biden and I have known each other for over 40 years. I want to thank him for half a century of friendship to Israel and for being, as he says, a proud Zionist. Actually, he says a proud Irish-American Zionist.
He's being very respectful of Biden, even though Biden blew him off.
My friends, for more than 9 months, Israel's soldiers have shown boundless courage. With us today, is Lieutenant Avichai Reuven. Avichai is an officer in the Israeli paratroopers. His family immigrated to Israel from Ethiopia. In the early hours of October 7th, Avichai heard the news of Hamas's bloody rampage. He put on his uniform, grabbed his rifle, but he didn't have a car to defend his people. You heard that right. He ran 8 miles, came to the front lines, killed many terrorists, and saved many, many lives. Avichai, we all honor your remarkable heroism. Another Israeli is with us here today, and he's stand up right next to Avichai. This is Master Sergeant Ashraf al-Bakhiri.
Wait, those are people of color, and Kamal is not here.
Ashraf is a Bedouin soldier from the Israeli Muslim community of Raat. On October 7th, Ashraf too killed many terrorists. First, he defended his comrades in the military base, and he then rushed to defend the neighboring communities, including the devastated community of Kibbutz Be'eri. Like Ashraf, the Muslim soldiers of the IDF fought alongside their Jewish, Druze, Christian, and other comrades in arms with tremendous bravery.
It's not me. It shows working on my end. I've got full level of sound.
A third hero, Lieutenant Asa Sofer, is also here with us. Asa fought as an officer in the Tank Corps, and he was wounded in battle. He was wounded in battle while protecting his fellow soldiers from a grenade. He lost his right arm and the vision in his left eye. He's recovering, and incredibly, within a short time, Asa will soon return to active duty as a commander of a tank company.
It's not me on my side. On my side, I've got full level, so I'm not sure. It might be your connection, but I'm not sure where you are. Our connection's fine.
I just learned there's a fourth hero here, Lieutenant Jonathan Ben Chamo, who lost a leg in Gaza and continued to fight. My friends, these are the soldiers of Israel, unbowed, undaunted, unafraid. As the Bible says, Am kelavi yakum. They shall rise like lions. They have risen like lions. The lions of Judah, the lions of Israel. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, the men and women of the IDF come from every corner of Israeli society, every ethnicity, every color, every creed, left and right, religious and secular. All are imbued with the indomitable spirit of the Maccabees, the legendary Jewish warriors of antiquity. With us today is Yechiel Leiter, the father of one of those Maccabees. Yechiel's father escaped the Holocaust and found refuge in America. As a young man, Yechiel moved to Israel and raised a family of 8 children. He named his eldest son, Moshe, after his late father. Moshe became an exemplary officer in one of our elite commando units. He served with distinction for 2 decades while raising 6 beautiful children of his own. On October 7th, Moshe volunteered to return to combat. 4 weeks later, he was killed when a booby-trapped mine exploded in a tunnel shaft right next to a mosque. At his son's funeral, Yechiel said this: "If the state of Israel had not been established after the Holocaust, the image engraved in our collective memory would have been the photograph of that helpless Jewish boy in the Warsaw Ghetto holding his hands up in the air with Nazi rifles pointed at him. But because of the birth of Israel," Yechiel continued, "because of the courage of soldiers like my son Moshe, the Jewish people are no longer helpless in the face of our enemies." Yechiel, please rise so we can honor your son's sacrifice. And I pledge to you.
I hear some of you guys saying the sound is out. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's YouTube doing something, but it's completely fine on my end. There's nothing else I can do. I've got a full bar of sound. So I'm sorry that YouTube might be screwing with the stream.
It will not be in vain, because for Israel, never again must never be an empty promise. It must always remain a sacred vow. And after October 7th, never again is now. My friends, defeating our brutal enemies requires both courage and clarity. Clarity begins by knowing the difference between good and evil. Yet incredibly, many anti-Israel protesters, many choose to stand with evil. They stand with Hamas. They stand with rapists and murderers. They stand with people who came into the kibbutzim, into a home. The parents hid the children, the 2 babies, in the attic, in a secret attic. They murdered the families, the parents. They found the secret latch to the hidden attic, and then they murder the babies. These protesters, stand with them. They should be ashamed of themselves.
you.
They refuse to make the simple distinction between those who target terrorists and those who target civilians, between the democratic state of Israel and the terrorist thugs of Hamas. We recently learned from the National Security Director, U.S. Director of National Intelligence, that Iran is funding and promoting anti-Israel protests in America. They want to disrupt America. So these protesters burn American flags even on the 4th of July. And I wish to salute the fraternity brothers at the University of North Carolina who protected the American flag against these anti-Israel
Frat
protesters.
boys, the frat boys. Can't believe that Bibi recognized the frat boys.
For all we know, Iran is funding the anti-Israel protests that are going on right now outside this building. Not that many, but they're there, and throughout the city. Well, I have a message for these protesters. When the tyrants of Tehran, who hang gays from cranes and murder women for not covering their hair, are praising, promoting, and funding you, you have officially become Iran's useful idiots.
So true. Unreal. They throw the gay people off of buildings, and yet you're supporting them. Man, crazy.
Some of these protesters, it's amazing, absolutely amazing. Some of these protesters hold up signs proclaiming gays for Gaza. They might as well hold up signs saying chickens for KFC. These protesters chant from the river to the sea, but many don't have a clue what river and what sea they're talking about. They not only get an F in geography, they get an F in history. They call Israel a colonialist state. Don't they know that the land of Israel is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob prayed, where Isaiah and Jeremiah preached,
No, they don't know.
and where David and Solomon ruled?
That's just it. Thank you.
For nearly 4,000 years, the land of Israel has been the homeland of the Jewish people. It's always been our home. It will always be our home. It's not only the campus protesters who get it wrong. It's also the people who run those campuses. 80 years after the Holocaust, the presidents of Harvard, Penn, and I'm ashamed to say my alma mater, MIT, couldn't bring themselves to condemn the calls for the genocide of Jews. You remember what they said?
Thank you, Michael.
They said, it depends on the context. Well, let me give these befuddled academics a little context. Anti-Semitism is the world's oldest hatred. For centuries, the massacre of Jews was always preceded by wild accusations. We were accused of everything from poisoning wells to spreading plagues, to using the blood of slaughtered children to bake Passover matzahs. These preposterous anti-Semitic lies led to persecution, mass murder, and ultimately to history's worst genocide, the Holocaust. Now, just as malicious lies were leveled for centuries at the Jewish people, malicious lies are now being leveled at the Jewish state. No, don't applaud. Listen. The outrageous slanders that paint Israel as racist and genocidal are meant to delegitimize Israel, to demonize the Jewish state, and to demonize Jews everywhere. And no wonder we've witnessed an appalling rise of anti-Semitism in America and around the world. My friends,
Thank you, Stanley.
Whenever and wherever we see the scourge of anti-Semitism, we must unequivocally condemn it and resolutely fight it, without exception.
Wow. What a speech.
And don't be fooled when the blood libels against the Jewish state come from people who wear fancy silk robes and speak in lofty tones about law and justice. Here's a case in point. The prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has shamefully accused Israel of deliberately starving the people of Gaza. This is utter, complete nonsense. It's a complete fabrication. Israel has enabled more than 40,000 aid trucks to enter Gaza. That's 500,000 tons of food. And that's more than 3,000 calories for every man, woman, and child in Gaza. If there are Palestinians in Gaza who aren't getting enough food, it's not because Israel is blocking it, it's because Hamas is stealing it. So much for that lie, but here's another. The ICC prosecutor accuses Israel of deliberately targeting civilians. What in God's green earth is he talking about? The IDF has dropped millions of flyers, sent millions of text messages, made hundreds of thousands of phone calls to get Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. But at the same time, Hamas does everything in its power to put Palestinian civilians in harm's way. They fire rockets from schools, from hospitals, from mosques. They even shoot their own people when they try to leave the war zone. A senior Hamas official, Fatri Hamad, boasted, listen to this, he boasted that Palestinian women and children excel at being human shields. His words, excel at being human shields. What monstrous evil. For Israel, every civilian death is a tragedy. For Hamas, it's a strategy. They actually want Palestinian civilians to die so that Israel will be smeared in the international media and be pressured to end the war before it's won. This would enable Hamas to survive another day and, as they vowed, to carry out October 7th again and again and again. Well, I want to assure you, no matter what pressure is brought to bear, I will never allow that to happen. The vast majority of Americans have not fallen for this Hamas propaganda. They continue to support Israel. And I want to say thank you, America, and thank you, senators and House members who continue to support us, continue to support Israel, continue to support the truth and see through the lies. But as for the minority that may have fallen for Hamas's cons job, I suggest you listen to Colonel John Spencer. John Spencer is head of urban warfare studies at West Point. He studied every major urban conflict I was going to say in modern history. He corrected me, no, in history. Israel, he said, has implemented more precautions to prevent civilian harm than any military in history and beyond what international law requires. That's why, despite all the lies you've heard, the war in Gaza has one of the lowest ratios of combatants to non-combatants casualties in the history of urban warfare. And you want to know where it's lowest in Gaza? It's lowest in Rafah. In Rafah. Remember what so many people said? If Israel goes into Rafah, there'll be thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of civilians killed. Well, last week, I went into Rafah. I visited our troops as they finished fighting Hamas's remaining terrorist battalions. I asked the commander there, how many terrorists did you take out in Rafah? He gave me an exact number, 1,203. I asked him, how many civilians were killed? He said, Prime Minister, practically none, with the exception of a single incident where shrapnel from a bomb hit a Hamas weapons depot and unintentionally killed 24 people. The answer is practically none. You want to know why? Because Israel got the civilians out of harm's way, something people said we could never do, but we did it. These heroes here today, the heroic soldiers of Israel, should not be condemned for how they're conducting the war in Gaza. They should be commended for it. I want to thank all of you here today who forcefully opposed the false accusations of the ICC and stood up for the truth. These lies are not only libelous, they're downright dangerous. The ICC is trying to shackle Israel's hands and prevent us from defending ourselves. And if Israel's hands are tied, America is next. And I'll tell you what else is next. The ability of all democracies to fight terrorism will be imperiled. That's what's on the line. So let me assure you, the hands of the Jewish state will never be shackled. Israel will always defend itself. My friends, in the Middle East, Iran is virtually behind all the terrorism, all the turmoil, all the chaos, all the killing. And that should come as no surprise. When he founded the Islamic Republic, Ayatollah Khomeini pledged, "We will export our revolution to the entire world." We will export the Islamic revolution to the entire world. Now ask yourself, which country ultimately stands in the way of Iran's maniacal plans to impose radical Islam on the world?
Yeah.
And the answer is clear. It's America, the guardian of Western civilization and the world's greatest power.
I'm blocking as many of them as I can, but they're in here.
That's why Iran sees America as its greatest enemy. Last month, we heard a revealing comment, ostensibly about the war in Gaza, but about something else. It came from the foreign minister of Iran's proxy, Hezbollah, and he said this: "This is not a war with Israel. Israel, he said, is merely a tool. The main war, the real war, is with America. Iran's regime has been fighting America from the moment it came to power. In 1979, it stormed the American embassy. It held scores of Americans hostage for 444 days. Since then, Iran's terrorist proxies have targeted America in the Middle East and beyond. In Beirut, they killed 241 U.S. servicemen. In Africa, they bombed American embassies. In Iraq, they supplied explosives to maim and kill thousands of American soldiers. In America, they actually sent death squads. They sent death squads here to murder a former Secretary of State and a former National Security Advisor. And as we recently learned, they even brazenly threatened to assassinate President Trump. But Iran understands that to truly challenge America, it must first conquer the Middle East. And for this, it uses its many proxies, including the Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas.
Yes, I will be streaming.
Yet in the heart of the Middle East, standing in Iran's way, is one proud pro-American democracy, my country, the State of Israel. That's why the mobs in Tehran chant death to Israel before they chant death to America. For Iran, Israel is first, America is next. So when Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one more thing. When Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from, we're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you. My friends, if you remember one thing from the speech, remember this. Our enemies are your enemies. Our fight is your fight. And our victory will be your victory.
I'm not censoring anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, that victory is in sight. Israel's defeat of Hamas will be a powerful blow to Iran's axis of terror. Another part of that axis, Hezbollah, attacked Israel on October 8th, a day after the Hamas attack. It has launched thousands of missiles and drones against us. 80,000 of our citizens in northern Israel evacuated their homes, becoming effectively refugees in their own land. We are committed to returning them home. We prefer to achieve this diplomatically. But let me be clear. Israel will do whatever it must do to restore security to our northern border and return our people safely to their homes. Last Friday, a third Iranian proxy, the Houthis, attacked Tel Aviv with a deadly drone. It exploded a few hundred feet from the American consulate, killing one person and injuring 9. On Saturday, I authorized a swift response to that attack. All our enemies should know this. Those who attack Israel will pay a very heavy price. And as we defend ourselves, And as we defend ourselves on all fronts, I know that America has our back. And I thank you for it. All sides of the aisle, thank you. My friends, for decades, America has provided Israel with generous military assistance, and a grateful Israel has provided America with critical intelligence that saved many lives. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth. I choose my words carefully. We've jointly developed some of the most sophisticated weapons on earth that help protect both our countries. And we also help keep American boots, we help keep Americans' boots off the ground while protecting our shared interests in the Middle East.
Exactly. People need to understand that.
I deeply appreciate America's support, including in this current war. But this is an exceptional moment. Fast-tracking U.S. military aid can dramatically expedite an end to the war in Gaza and help prevent a broader war in the Middle East. In World War II, as Britain fought on the front lines of civilization, Winston Churchill appealed to Americans with these famous words: "Give us the tools and we'll finish the job." Today, as Israel fights on the front line of civilization, I too appeal to America. Give us the tools faster and we'll finish the job faster. My dear friends, the war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages. But if they don't, Israel will fight until we destroy Hamas's military capabilities, end its rule in Gaza, and bring all our hostages home. That's what total victory means, and we will settle for nothing less. The day after we defeat Hamas, a new Gaza can emerge. My vision for that day is of a demilitarized and de-radicalized Gaza. Israel does not seek to resettle Gaza, but for the foreseeable future, we must retain overriding security control there to prevent the resurgence of terror, to ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel. Gaza should have a civilian administration run by Palestinians who do not seek to destroy Israel. That's not too much to ask. It's a fundamental thing that we have a right to demand and to receive. A new generation of Palestinians must no longer be taught to hate Jews, but rather to live in peace with us. Those twin words, demilitarization and de-radicalization, those two concepts were applied to Germany and Japan after World War II, and that led to decades of peace, prosperity, and security. Following our victory, with the help of regional partners, the demilitarization and de-radicalization of Gaza can also lead to a future of security, prosperity, and peace. That's my vision for Gaza. Now, here's my vision for the broader Middle East. It's also shaped in part by what we saw in the aftermath of World War II. After that war, America forged a security alliance in Europe to counter the growing Soviet threat. Likewise, America and Israel today can forge a security alliance in the Middle East to counter the growing Iranian threat. All countries that are at peace with Israel and all those countries who will make peace with Israel should be invited to join this alliance. We saw a glimpse of that potential alliance on April 14th. Led by the United States, more than half a dozen nations worked alongside Israel to help neutralize hundreds of missiles and drones launched by Iran against us. Thank you, President Biden, for bringing that coalition together. The new alliance I envision would be a natural extension of the groundbreaking Abraham Accords. Those accords saw peace forged between Israel and 4 Arab countries, and they were supported by Republicans and Democrats alike. We could call, I have a name for this new alliance. I think we should call it the Abraham Alliance. I want to thank President Trump for his leadership in brokering the historic Abraham Accords. Like Americans, Israelis were relieved that President Trump emerged safe and sound from that dastardly attack on him, dastardly attack on American democracy. There is no room for political violence in democracies.
Good point,
I also want to thank President Trump for all the things he did for Israel, from recognizing Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights, to confronting Iran's aggression, to recognizing Jerusalem as our capital and moving the American embassy there.
The Democrats are mad
That's
about
Jerusalem, our eternal capital, never to be divided again.
The camera's not even showing the left side for some reason.
My dear friends, Democrats and Republicans, despite these times of upheaval, I'm hopeful about the future. I'm hopeful about Israel because my people, the Jewish people, emerged from the depths of hell, from dispossession and genocide. And against all odds, we restored our sovereignty in our ancient homeland. We built a powerful and vibrant democracy, a democracy that pushes the boundaries of innovation for the betterment of all humanity. I'm hopeful about America because I'm hopeful about Americans. I know how much the people of this country have sacrificed to defend freedom. America will continue to be a force for light and good in a dark and dangerous world. For free peoples everywhere, America remains the beacon of liberty its extraordinary founders envisioned back in 1776. Working together, I'm confident that our two nations will vanquish the tyrants and terrorists who threaten us both. As Israel's Prime Minister, I promise you this: no matter how long it takes, no matter how difficult the road ahead, Israel will not relent Israel will not bend. We will defend our land. We will defend our people. We will fight until we achieve victory. Victory over liberty, rather victory of liberty over tyranny, victory of life over death, victory of good over evil. That's our solemn commitment. And we will continue to work with the United States and our Arab partners to transform a troubled region from a backwater of repression, poverty, and war into a thriving oasis of dignity, prosperity, and peace. In this noble mission, as in many others, Israel will always remain America's indispensable ally. Through thick and thin, in good times and in bad, Israel will always be your loyal friend and your steadfast partner. On behalf of the people of Israel, I came here today to say thank you, America. Thank you for your support and solidarity. Thank you for standing in Israel, with Israel, in our hour of need. Together we shall defend our common civilization. Together we shall secure a brilliant future for both our nations. May God bless Israel, may God bless America, and may God bless the great alliance between Israel and America forever.
My mic wasn't on. I have to say a few things. As I watched the chat unfold, it was kind of weird because I know some people don't like Israel. Barry, why are you showing this? Why are you giving this guy a platform? So I want to make a few distinctions that maybe some people don't know. The difference between Israel and Bibi Netanyahu and that country over there that's for some reason we can't say that's run by Zelensky. And the two things that they're fighting. Israel is fighting a war against people who wish America harm, who have said openly, death to America. Although the media and certain Democrats say that Putin has said the same thing, I challenge you to find anything, anywhere, where Putin has said death to America. Challenge you. Be an adult. If you don't believe me, go look it up. Go look up and see which country who's showing aggression to another country is saying, not only do we want you guys gone, but we want America gone. I challenge you. Tell me which country is saying that. So obviously, if a country is in a conflict who is going up against another country who says, we want y'all too. We want to take down America. If they're saying it openly. I'm not talking about any sort of, silent communications or what you've heard in the media. Excuse me. I'm talking about what you can hear yourself with your own ears. I personally have heard people in Iran chanting about what they'd want to do to America. I have not heard anybody anywhere, including Putin, saying that Russia wants to do something like that to America. You know why? Because one country already is a nuclear power, and they know, should they do something stupid, what would happen to them. Putin's not stupid. He understands if I push this button, then they're going to push their button, and we're both going to go boom, boom. Those nut jobs over there, the nuts in Iran, who haven't as of yet obtained nuclear capability, don't seem to understand that. They think they can just swing at anyone they want, that they are basically empowered to take on whoever they want. And, if we end up getting boomed, they're like, okay, well, we're going to get to 7 virgins in heaven, or whatever they want to go to. They don't understand peace through strength. They are complete aggression. They want to just get out there, and anyone who doesn't believe what they believe, they think, and again, look it up, they want us gone. So supporting Israel, in my opinion, helps keep us safe. You may disagree with that. You may think it's a waste of time and a waste of money. I'm not even getting into the religious aspects. I'm not even getting into what we believe, those of us who are Christians, because you obviously, if you don't like Israel, you don't buy, you don't believe, there's nothing I can tell you about the Christian ideology and what we believe from a faith-based thought, what we believe. So I'm not going to go there, because I'm not going to proselytize to you. I'm not going to try and convince you anything. Not going to tell you who Abraham was. Not going to tell you who Moses. Not going to go there. I'm just talking to you about America. If you want a safe and prosperous America, you'd want to protect Israel because of their opponent who wishes ill upon us. That is the simplest definition of it that you can even think about. The other guy isn't doing that because he understands what could happen. Xi Jinping, China. Haven't heard him stand on a podium and say, death to America. Challenge me? Go ahead and send me a link. Tell me where Xi Jinping has said, death to America. They hurt us economically. Which is why the tariffs make sense. But you got one renegade country over there, actually a couple of them, who would love to take down America. And they're taking it down from within because we got these idiots outside this place. And I wrote it down, what Netanyahu said, and I've said it to many people. Many. You are useful idiots. You don't even understand you couldn't do over there what you do here, but you're telling us we need to, make Israel stop. Do you not know this? I am serious. When he said useful idiots, and I've seen the pictures. If you haven't seen the pictures, don't look at MSNBC. Don't look at CNN. Go look them up. They throw people who have this alternative lifestyle thing, they throw you off a roof. I've seen the pictures. I've actually seen videos of these people being tossed off the roof. You got people in Biden's administration who couldn't set foot in that country. Do you understand that? Our, health secretary, the transformer who's in the health secretary right now for Biden, couldn't go there. Could not go there. There are women who can't go there. And yet you've got women in the streets saying, hey, Israel's the bad guy. They don't understand the concept of being an ally. And I saw, a number of the chats come through, and there were some that I actually had to basically suspend so they couldn't post because they were getting... I don't mind people having a difference of opinion. I've never minded people having a difference of ideology and speaking that way. But when you attack others for their ideology, that's where, the moderators and everything, I'm like, if they're just talking and saying, I hate Bibi, okay. I don't like Israel, okay. But as soon as you say, hey, Joe, you're an idiot because you like Israel, that's where people get suspended or banned. And so I don't censor anything. If somebody doesn't want something, what I encourage you to do is bring fact. Bring fact to the table so people in the chat, and as I look through here, that I can actually go in and put up something, one of your comments, and talk about it. Somebody is talking about something that Deborah Johnson has said. I don't see it, but I see some of you guys talking about it. Shame on ignorant Biden Harris voters. They like high groceries, gas taxes, government regulations, and no borders. The word in your comment that is the most appropriate is ignorant. There are people out there who don't believe the truth. They don't believe what they can see with their own eyes and hear with their own ears. They look at Joy Reid or MSNBC or CNN. I'm like, hey man, are you telling me that you should vote for Kamala solely because she's somewhat black and a woman? That's your criteria for office? You just heard a world leader talk. A world leader should be somebody that not everybody likes. I don't like everything Bibi does. I don't like everything that Israel does. But I understand as a leader, you're not going to get 100% acceptance. There are going to be things that people don't like. Just accept it. And so when you're talking about what most people care about, which is grocery prices, gas prices, rent, mortgage prices, interest rates, safety, the border, all those things come before all the other crazy stuff that they want to talk about. And so that's why I think she's in trouble. People have been brainwashed sheep by the Democrat-owned media. You can see it right now. If you don't believe me, go back and look at tapes, or nobody has tapes anymore. Go back and look at recordings of CNN and MSNBC and CBS and ABC on June 26th, on June 25th. Go back and look at those newscasts. On those newscasts, and I can show them to you, Joe Scarborough and everybody else was saying how great Joe Biden was, and he was sharp as a tack, and he was better than he's ever been. And then on June 28th, it was, oh my God, we got to get rid of this guy. I mean, literally 2 days. Two days. That's all it took for them to go, oh, everybody saw that? Yeah, they all saw it. Oh, we need to get rid of him. That's all it took. There went their principles very quickly. And so quickly, they moved on to Kamala. And they forget. And I don't understand why people don't get this. There is so much video of Kamala on just saying the most stupid things over the last 3 or 4 years. And it's like they don't want you to even remember it. Thank God Elon Musk bought Twitter, because they would have just memory hold this stuff where you would never, ever, ever, ever see it again. In fact, Axios got caught in something today. Axios got caught in an uproar because now what they're trying to do, and I'm going to show this at 6 o'clock when we talk about the Trump rally. Axios, they're saying Kamala is vulnerable because of her role as the so-called border czar. And then today, all of the media was out there saying, oh, she wasn't the border czar. The Republicans are just going to hit her by calling her the border czar. She's not a DEI hire. Republicans are just saying that. And I'm like, we got tape. I have the video. So Axios is out there telling everyone that you're all lying. She was never named a border czar. And then people started posting the story that Axios ran in 2021 showing she was named the border czar. Then they went into the archives and started deleting old stories. Unfortunately, not understanding that people have screenshots. They are bamboozling you. They are absolutely gaslighting you. They're doing everything to try and brainwash people that Kamala Harris is now the chosen one. They've just moved on from Joe. Now it's this one. Now everything is so great. And Bibi Netanyahu in Israel is so bad. How can someone who's running for president, who's in office right now as a vice president, completely blow off this man? Before I started, I don't know if you guys saw it, but not tomorrow, on Friday, Trump is meeting Netanyahu down here at Mar-a-Lago. So the two of them are going to be talking. And in fact, the president of Palestine has also said he wants to talk with Trump and Bibi and see if they can't work something out. So you're telling me the man who's not in office yet, is meeting with these two warring factions, Hamas and Israel. And he's able to talk to them about basically laying down your arms and stopping this stuff. Which is the same thing the guys over there said, Zelensky and Putin. Yeah, well, Trump's going to work things out. So I got one question for you. Why can Trump talk to Zelensky and Putin and get things worked out? Why can he talk to Mahmoud and Netanyahu and get things worked out, where Biden and Harris can't? Chew on that for a while. She's been to Europe more than to the border now. She doesn't want to take sides. Yeah, because of the squad. She needs those votes in Dearborn, Michigan so bad that she'd be willing to stand against Israel. I'm not mad at her for that. And somehow the head of FBI, Ray, didn't have enough intelligence to know about Biden's cognitive decline. Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know if you guys saw that. Matt Gaetz said they were talking about the shooter and they were talking about the border and some other things. And then Matt Gaetz got up in front of, asked Christopher Wray. So have you briefed the president about any of this stuff? Yeah, I've briefed the president quite a few times. Daily? A couple months ago? When? Because I can't give you the times, but, I've talked to the president. Okay. Was the vice president in these meetings? Yeah, oftentimes she was there. So since you've talked to the president and the vice president, when did you notice his cognitive decline? And Christopher Wray didn't see that question coming, and he was blindsided and blah, 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 blah. And then he pointed out across the room, he goes, well, that guy Adam Schiff says he's got a cognitive decline, and this guy over here says he's got to go. So either you're incompetent in your position as a profiler. I've watched Criminal Minds. You work for the FBI. You're astute. You can see things, can't you? Yeah. Well, did you notice whether he was showing a cognitive decline? Not that I can remember. Whatever I can recall. It was crazy. I haven't spoken to one black person who will vote for her. I don't know. Look at her rally. Yesterday she was in Milwaukee, and there was, I think, one or two black people in the crowd. Today she went to a black sorority, so I'm sure she's pumped up there. The black sorority convention, so she'll have a lot of black faces showing in her crowd today, I would think. But you're right. Let me just say this. There is a lot of black people who will be voting for her. The problem is the same problem that Biden had. Trump has chipped off enough of the black vote where mathematically they can't win. I've been saying it for months, and I'll say it one more time. Historically, the Democrats get 85 to 95 or more of the black vote. The Republicans end up getting 5, 6, 7%. The last election, Joe Biden won by 4 or 5 overall points. Forget all the other stuff. He won with 4 or 5 other points. He got 84% of the black vote and a high percentage of the Hispanic vote. Right now, Trump, depending on which poll you're looking at, says he's polling at about 21 to 27%. That means right now the black support for Kamala and Joe are in the 70s. You can't possibly make that number up. You can't recover by losing that much of a chunk of the voting block. So you're gonna see some black people obviously gonna show up and say we're voting for her, but they're not representative of what the Democrats are used to getting. That's her big problem, and that was Biden's problem. We have to keep it up though, and keep talking to people. Absolutely. American, black, Christian, I did not and will not vote for Kamala Harris. The thing I don't understand is if you just look at her policies, how can you possibly vote for her? Why would you vote against your own personal best interest? Everybody wants less gas prices. Everybody wants to pay cheaper grocery prices. Everybody would like to have cheaper rent or lower mortgage interest. Everybody would like to be physically safe and not have tens of millions of people crossing the border. How can you take all of that and say, you know what, I'd rather pay extra and I'd rather my taxes increase because I just hate Trump? Because that is the only reason why you would push a lever for Kamala Harris. No other reason. There is absolutely no other reason. If I found someone who wanted to say there's another reason, I would call them out on it. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I just got back from vacation from taking my kids, kid and grandkid to where did we go? I'm sorry. Went to Disney. I hate Disney, but they wanted to go. And it costs money. You have to fly. You have to drive. You have to eat. All that stuff together. And you're telling me that I should pay higher taxes, pay higher everything, just because I hate Trump. You're an idiot. Harris won't be the nominee. It's a good chance they could probably switch her out as well. Trump is the least racially biased of any president we've ever had. He doesn't care. And that's the thing. You don't have to like him. And I keep telling people, you're not going to sit down and have a beer with him. You're never going to be that person, more than likely, to hang out and go golfing with him. You just have to think to yourself and your family, am I and my family, is my family better off with this person or that person? Regardless of what you think about him personally. You know, if you think he's a little bit repulsive, he makes mean tweets, he hung out with porn stars, yeah, I'm not into all that. Not asking you. I don't care if you are. I don't care what you think about him. I'm asking you, what do you care about your family? You see, that's how I turn people around who are Democrats who are absolutely nuts. I'm like, if I agree to everything you say about Trump, that he's this and that, and okay. But now will you agree that you would prefer that your family would be in a better position? A position where you're paying $1.89 for gas. Would you like that better? Don't talk to me about what kind of guy Trump is. He makes you mad. He makes women mad. He's supposedly cheated on his wife. He slept with a porn star. He did this. He did that. He's got $1 billion. All the things that are personality traits that you don't like. But when you vote for somebody, you should vote for how they protect your best interest. Sort of like what the people in Israel are doing. Hey, listen, Bibi, he might be a dick. Yeah, he might not be the best guy, but you know what? He's going to blow the hell out of these people who try to kill my family. So I'm going to look away from the stuff that's bad. You know, God forbid, when I met my wife, I'm sure I wasn't checked off. I didn't check off every single box that she had. And she probably said, "No, he's not that. Oh, but he's that. Oh, that he does that very well. He does that. I'm in love with him, so I'm going to go here, even though there are some warts and things that I don't like about him. Maybe I can get him to fix that," which she has. I don't know how she has. I actually clean up my room now. Well, sort of. Looking around my office, I sort of keep things clean. But in any event, I don't really care what you like about Trump or dislike about Trump. He's not your friend. He is a national leader. That's all you have to worry about. Yeah, amen. Vote for their policy. I don't understand how people get It was funny. I was watching CNN before Bibi came on, and they were like, Kamala needs to go out and begin telling people about her family history, and she needs to endear people to, what she's gone through in her life. And I'm like, who cares? Who friggin' cares? I don't care. Kamala could be the best cook. She could be the best wife. She could be the best mom. She's not. She could be the best of everything. But if you don't do the stuff that makes my life better, I don't care. That's all you have. That's all you should worry about. So those of you who are in the chat were like, I don't like sending money to Israel. I don't like Bibi Netanyahu. Understand, he's fighting the fight that we don't have to at this point. Understand, he's fighting a mortal enemy of the United States, so we don't have to right now. They're on the front lines. As you're sitting here watching me talk and watching him talk on YouTube, you can do it safely because there's nobody parachuting into your backyard looking to take out your family, shoot your dog, take your wife or husband away, and do vile things to them. Because somebody else is fighting that war. Somebody else is saying, you know what, I'm going to keep Americans in other parts of the world safe by taking these nuts out. And of course, there's going to be some collateral damage. So then you just have to say to yourself, here's something that's going to make some people scream. Would you rather the collateral damage happen over there or over here? You see, there's nobody parachuting and doing stuff and dropping bombs and all the crazy stuff here. So it's easy for us to look at it and go, wow, that bad country Israel, they're pounding somebody too hard. They should let off the gas. Meanwhile, I'm heading to dinner right now. You're being ignorant of the situation. And then take it further. Let's say somebody parachuted into your backyard. You're hanging out by the pool with the wife, the family. They parachute into your backyard. They do disgusting things to the family members right in front of you. Make you watch. And I mean the most vile things right in front of you. Then you're lucky enough not to be one of those people who got the vile thing done, but they take you with them and say, we're going to save you and do some vile stuff to you later, but right now we're going to throw you in the back of the truck. If your husband wasn't there and he comes home and he sees his house decimated and his family members, all kinds of things happen to them, but he can't find his wife, and he finds out that these guys took his wife, what would you want your husband to do if that happened? I've seen the movie Taken, and I've watched it probably 3 or 4 times with Liam Neeson, and I'm like, I got a very particular set of skills, and I would use them. And I'm sure many of you have some things in your closet, so you're like, I'm going hunting. I'm going to find the people who did this. So when you find these people, and you get to where they are, and they've got your wife, and they got your neighbor's wife, and then you find out there's another house down the road or cave or whatever where they've got a few other people's wives, are you just going to go in and say, hey, listen, I know you did this to my family, but is it possible we can work something out? can I get my wife back? And, I'll just take her and we're just going to walk away. And meanwhile, all these other women are screaming in the background. Or are you going to get some boys, get them in a pickup truck and say, let's go take these people out. Let's go see what we can do to save them. That's what Israel's doing. So, of course, there's going to be collateral damage. But I don't blame them whatsoever for doing whatever they have to do to keep their people safe. Just as I wouldn't care what Trump, I wouldn't care what Biden, I wouldn't care what Kamala would do to anybody who would dare harm Americans. Flip the script. Somebody does that to us, like 9/11. Whether you think it was an inside job or whatever. How about Pearl Harbor? Pearl Harbor, boom! They're going to take us on. How many innocent people do you think succumbed from Hiroshima and Nagasaki? But what did that do for America for decades? Don't F with that country. They got these big bombs that if you F with them, they're going to wipe out your entire generation. They're going to fly planes over and go, poof, you're done. Don't F with them. And what happened? People came home, they took pictures of men and women kissing in the street, and then we lived safely until, once again, 1960s came and Vietnam showed up. But before then, between 1939 and 1940, and then again 1960, or how about this? How about the fact that other than 9/11, which was not a country per se, how about the fact that none of these things that have happened in other countries have happened on our soil? Why do you think that is? Because if you do something here, we're not just going to swing a punch at you. We're going to make you disappear. And people know that, or at least they knew that until Biden and Kamala. Yeah, push this button, boof, gone, forget it. We just wiped out 100,000. Why? Because you took one American life. You took 100 American lives. You came on our soil? Are you freaking kidding me? So what would you prefer? Would you prefer that Israel just says, okay, that's enough. You guys, you promise not to do this anymore. Again. Like for the 100th time. You promise to be good boys on your side of the fence and never do this crap again. That's what you want Israel to go with? We're going to build a big, beautiful dome. He's talking about the Iron Dome, and Bibi actually referenced that when he talked about the technology between the two countries. Putting an Iron Dome over America should have been done a long time ago. Our country has been invaded by our enemies at home and abroad. This is not the America we want to leave our children. Yeah, I don't even know if it's like a true invasion because we just opened the door. It's like people walked up to your front door and you're like, hey, just come on in. Take whatever you want. Matter of fact, don't take. I'm going to give you everything I have. Please don't bite me. The snake. Also, in these anti-Israeli protests, look for people with red triangles. It's funny. Hey, Barry, can't wait for the Dolphin season play-by-play. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Maybe on a different channel. Never forget, Kamala kept black men in prison past their release date in California so she could milk them for cheap labor. All right, guys, I'm going to go jump. Got some work to do. I've got 2 more shows tonight. 2 more. I want you to join me. I've got this 6 o'clock show with Trump rally, which is going to be fun. And then 8 o'clock, we all get together and watch Joe dribble all over himself. It's probably not going to be that long because he's probably only going to talk for like 15 minutes. He got to go. It's past his bedtime. But should have something interesting to say. So anyway, thanks for showing up for the BB show here. I loved it. Loved that you guys came. Loved that you guys engaged. Thank you for everyone who contributed a super chat.